Born Eliza French in the picturesque village of Winslow in Buckinghamshire, sometime between 1826 and 1829, records vary, she married local man William Yeulett in 1846. The nature of her husband's job, a railwayman, saw them move around the country. In 1861, they were living in Upper Mitton near Droitwich and had 5 children, Thomas, Jessie, and Mary Ann, all born in Winslow, Elizabeth and William, born in Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire, respectively. In 1871, they were living in a railway hut at Golborne Bellow near Chester, with son William, born in Bedford, and 2 younger children, John, born in Sussex, and Clara, born in Wolverhampton. The tragic event came 2 years later in Reddish Vale. Mr. Gouldthrup, Deputy County Coroner, held an inquest at Holdsworth Arms Hotel in Reddish on the body of Clara Yeulett, 4 years of age, daughter of William Yeulett of Nine Houses Reddish Vale. The following facts as disclosed at the police inquiry have been published. William Yeulett, deceased's father, said that he last saw his daughter alive at 3:30 on Wednesday morning, and she was then in bed, apparently in her usual good health. He had not seen her since. Shortly after 4 o'clock, Mary Yeulett, his daughter-in-law, and Mary Lane, a neighbor, came to him in a stable in which he was working and inquired after deceased. He said he had not seen her since he left his house. Mary Yeulett then told him that his daughter had been drowned. He ran home and saw his wife, who said, "Poor Clara is drowned." William Yeulett said to her, "What did you do that for, you naughty woman?" His wife replied, "I didn't know what I was doing." William Yeulett went upstairs and there saw his son John in bed with his shirt off. He asked the boy what his mother had been doing, and he said, "She carried me and Clara into the water. Clara was drowned. I caught hold of a bough, a main branch of a tree, and pulled my mother out again." William Yeulett gave the boy into the care of his daughter-in-law and returned to his work. By the jury, his wife had been a very heavy drinker, and previous to this occurrence, she had been drinking for about 3 weeks, day after day. He thought she was delirious. She had been delirious. When he got up on Wednesday morning, she made him a cup of tea and did not notice anything strange in her manner. The River Tame was 100 yards from the house, but there was a goit, a small artificial channel carrying water, usually used with respect to channels built to feed mills, which ran into the river 10 yards from his house. Elizabeth Lane, factory operative, living at 9 Houses, Reddish Vale, said that about 10 minutes past 4 on Wednesday morning, Eliza of the deceased, calling to her from the street. She got up and on looking out saw Eliza Yeulett, who said that her daughter Clara was drowned. Elizabeth Lane called Mary Yeulett up, and together they sought the child. They went into the child's home, and not finding her there, went to the girl's father, who was working in a stable. He said he had not seen the child, and they returned to the Yeulett's house, having been to the bank of the Goit. When Elizabeth Lane saw Eliza Yeulett in the street, Eliza Yeulett said that her son had cut her husband's head off and was going to cut the throats of all the other members of the family. When she said this, Elizabeth Lane thought that the woman was deranged in the mind and did not believe what she said. By the jury, Eliza Yeulett said that her daughter Clara had fallen into the water. She later said that a man had pushed them all in together. She was not drunk at this time. She had not been drunk since the previous Friday. Although she was in the habit of getting drunk, she had always been kind to her children. John Yeulett, 6 years of age, said he lived with his father at 9 Houses Reddish. On Wednesday morning, he got up when his father went out. His mother shortly afterwards took him and his sister Clara to the river. When he only had his shirt on, his mother carried them under her arms. Before they got to the water, she said that his father had got his head cut off, adding, "Let's jump in the river." When they got to the water, his mother chucked his little sister into the middle, which was deep, and chucked him in at the side. She then jumped in herself. John Yeulett and his mother swam to Mr. John Lane's garden. He got out and bent the branch of a tree down to the water's edge to his mother. She got hold of it, and he pulled her out. John Yeulett and his mother then went home. She pulled his shirt off, said, "Don't tell your father that I chucked you into the river," and put him to bed. His sister was asleep when his mother took them out of bed, but she wakened up when his mother threw her into the river. John Yeulett, watchman at Reddish Vale Printworks, said that about 5 o'clock on Wednesday morning, he went to the Goit and saw something in the water. On stooping, he found a child in the water. He pulled the child out and took her into the works. He had previously heard that a child had been drowned, and he went to the Goit for the purpose of letting off the water. Thomas Greenhalgh, physician residing at Heaton Norris, said he had made a post-mortem examination of the body of the deceased child and charging her with the willful murder of her daughter Clara and with attempting to murder her son John by drowning them. The coroner said that was all the evidence in that painful case. Eliza Yeulett, who in July 1873 was committed to Strangeways for murdering her daughter Clara. At her trial, she was found not guilty on the grounds of insanity and to be kept in strict custody until Her Majesty's pleasure be known. Her fragile mental state was evident when brought up on remand at Manchester County Police Court soon afterwards. In answer to the charge of willful and attempted murder, she made a rambling statement, stating that she had obtained her acquittal that morning on the ground of her insanity and that she had been ordered to go to an asylum. She was committed to trial at the assizes later that month, which resulted in her confinement and eventual transferal to Broadmoor. It was at the initial hearing that Eliza's husband claimed that she was a heavy drinker and that he thought she was delirious. It appeared easier to blame the demon drink as the cause of Eliza's actions rather than an underlying mental illness. Admitted on the 21st of November 1873, Eliza appeared to have been put to work in Broadmoor's laundry, the 1881 census describing her as still married and working as a laundress. She spent 12 years in the asylum. Deemed recovered, she was discharged on Christmas Eve 1885 and seemingly returned to her home village of Winslow, where she gained employment as a housekeeper at Redfield Cottage. She was 62. Although not confirmed, it appeared that she died in Sussex at the age of 73 in 1900. Whatever her illness, her time in Broadmoor saw her recover and become rehabilitated into the community, holding a respectable position in an affluent household. She appeared, not surprisingly, to have become estranged from her family after the events in Reddish Vale. There is no suggestion that she was ever reunited with her husband and children. There is one final, poignant footnote. Son William, aged 17 in 1873, followed his father into employment on the railways, becoming an engine driver. Living in Preston in 1891, he was father to 7 children. The firstborn, a daughter, was named Clara.